me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
To me, I just feel like we've always been this service that it's not even essential. I don't even know what the word is. It's needed and it's required. You know, it's just one of those things where we do so much to spark this whole life cycle of like who we serve. And there's no other profession that does that. There's no other place that does that. We serve everyone, every age, every ability, and every race. It just doesn't, every gender, it just doesn't matter. Like we're here for our communities. And I think that's just.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, live from NRPA Conference 2025. Today, we sit down with the true legend of California recreation, Lydie Gutfeld. With over 30 years of experience from Beverly Hills to Irvine, Mission Viejo, San Bernardino, and now Placentia, Lydie has seen it all, rebuilding departments, leading statewide initiatives, and shaping what Parks and Rec means to communities across California. In this conversation, she shares her inspiring journey, why flexibility and storytelling are the keys to surviving budget cuts, and how Parks and Rec isn't just important, it's essential. Stay tuned. This is one you don't want to miss. Let's dive in. All right, so this is Craig LeBlanc again with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, live from the NRPA convention in Orlando, Florida, 2025. We saved the best for last on the first day.
Let's go.
Lydie Gutfeld, the legend from California. She has been running Parks and Rec on the West Coast. Welcome to the show. How is your convention going?
It's been such a great convention so far. Opening general session was fabulous. We had just amazing speaker, and just it's always nice to get inspired. And then the sessions have been dynamite. And if you haven't been to the expo at NRPA, mind blown. It's just massive and awesome. So I'm really looking forward to more tomorrow and the next day.
Fantastic. And so tell us about, give people that don't know you a little bit about your story coming into Parks and Recreation.
So I started in recreation, not the traditional way. I got in trouble with the law and had to do some community service hours. And my mom had a salon, a hair salon. She's a hairstylist, and she was doing hair for the movies and had a shop in Beverly Hills. So the closest community center to her was the Roxbury Community Center. So I had 75 hours of community service to do, and that's where she dropped me off. And it took less than 75 hours for me to fall in love with a career, and that just launched me into end up working for Beverly Hills for 9 years, and Irvine for 13 and a half, Mission Viejo for 8, San Bernardino for 3, and now I'm in Placentia. So 30 plus years later, you know, you would have thought that it would have been a small stint, short stint, but it ended up being a lifelong career. And I've had the opportunity to do really everything there is to do in recreation, except for animals. We talked about this before. Yep. I would adopt every animal. So, but no, I've just been really lucky. I've worked for some great agencies that have given me the opportunities to really expand on what recreation is. And I believe it's a lifestyle. You know, it's a choice to make sure that people have great lives. And I really work hard to make sure that I make lives better for the people that I work with and play with. And I'm really fortunate. I've had some really great jobs and great agencies that I've worked for. I'm also a CPRS past president. Let's go, California.
Yep.
And I was the president in 2019, 2020. And I've just had a great opportunity to work with CPRS and in leadership opportunities, not only in the district world and the section world, but also at the state level. And just had a really great time just making sure that, you know, our 4,000 plus members were heard and getting their services that they needed and their education that they needed. And it's been a really great ride. So excited to be here.
And thank y'all for really trying to get us to go to the California Parks and Rec Association. So I cannot wait to attend. We are, if we can pull it off. And as far as I know, we're just like
putting the pieces together. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Together.
It's logistics at this point.
Pretty much everything you're seeing we're doing here at NRPA, we're going to do over there in California. It's in March, correct?
Yep.
Next year?
Yep. March 10th through the 12th.
Now, for those who haven't been, tell us about what your annual convention looked like. I know it's, I think,
only behind this one as
That's
far
right.
as number of attendees, correct?
Yeah, I mean, every time I'm here, I'm always like, gosh, we just do it just a little smaller in California, but it's very similar to NRPA. We have about 1,800 to 2,000 attendees, and we have sessions that last for 2 days, and it's just great education, great networking. The socials are awesome, and, we have some amazing sponsors as well that help us put it together. And then we also have, similar to here, the best of the best, and we have our awards ceremony. So we get to recognize professionals and agencies and programs and services throughout the year. And it's just a really great week. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Foundation for Parks and Recreation. I'm a trustee on that board, and it's something that we're very proud of. A ton of student scholarships, and we're starting to invest in research and helping actually a bunch of agencies in California get some water safety instruction and helping people get lifeguard certifications right now. So a ton of stuff that happens in 1 week, but it's, like it is here. You come here and you don't know what you're going to expect. And then you leave just completely like sparked with all this energy and inspiration. And I'm just so excited. It's been great to reconnect with so many people this morning. And I'm just so excited for the week.
Yeah. Now, if I remember your story correctly, you were part of a Parks and Rec department that really got slashed down almost nothing, correct?
Yeah.
And then had to build it up from zero.
Yeah, I actually came into San Bernardino. I got recruited for San Bernardino for the director job. And they were just getting ready to sign out of bankruptcy. So they had been in bankruptcy for almost 10 years. And that I started in January, and that August is when it officially was signed off. But it was a complete just transition of what I had been used to. I'd worked for very affluent cities, Beverly Hills, Irvine, Mission Viejo.
Yeah.
Money was never really a big issue. San Bernardino, money was an issue, but the bigger issue, and something we talked about in our last podcast, was just the trust that the community had in the city. There was none. And so it was really difficult to start, giving yeses to the community and having them trust in our staff and in our services. And it took about 2 years. And of course, we had a ton of money from ARPA. And so we kind of just really thought about strategically, how could we use this money to not only revitalize our communities, our parks, and our spaces, but also look at how we were really doing service to the community and how could we create something that was going to be long lasting. And I had a very wonderful 3 years there, and unfortunately due to politics had to head on out. But, hopefully with the master plan that we put in place, they'll be able to do some really great things here in the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. And so I'd like you to give your input on our latest creation. So after editing, approaching 750 hours of continuous content,
Wow.
I asked our video editors, say, look, you see what's going on here. Many of our Parks and Rec departments were fighting for their life in COVID, and still to this day for money, that they were somehow put in a category of not essential service. And we're trying to move completely away from that and actually prove ourselves. And part of it is just telling the story of why are we considered an essential service. So we created, as a gift to the Parks and Rec industry, hopefully an asset, a digital asset that's free on our YouTube channel.
Awesome.
You can go and download it, play it for whoever you want, to elected officials, council members. When you find yourself fighting for those dollars, play this to start that conversation. I'd love to get your feedback on how we did and maybe expound upon this. So
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
we'll play this and come right back with Lydie.
When we talk about essential services, what comes to mind? Police, firefighters, healthcare. But there's another essential service, often overlooked, yet always present: parks and recreation. Parks and Rec is health. It's the walking trail that lowers blood pressure, the recreation center where seniors fight isolation, the swim lessons that prevent tragedy before it happens. This isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Parks and Rec is safety. A playground instead of a street corner, a basketball court instead of trouble, a summer camp where every child belongs. It's not just about activity, it's about protection, prevention, and possibility. Parks and Rec is community, the festival that brings neighbors together, the cultural event that teaches respect and diversity, the open space where a city breathes. It builds bridges where division once stood. It gives people a reason to gather, to connect, to care. And Parks and Rec is economics. It strengthens property values. It drives tourism through events and trails. It saves on healthcare costs. Every dollar invested multiplies, feeding back into schools, into safety, into growth. Essential service is not just about survival, it's about thriving. And Parks and Recreation is where thriving begins. In wellness, in equity, in culture, and in joy. Parks and Rec isn't extra, it's essential. For our health, for our safety, for our communities, for our future. A message from the Parks and Recreation community.
So how we do?
You did it again. I got the chills. Those of you guys who weren't watching, but I like put up my arm in the middle of it and I said, look, I got goosebumps. It's awesome. Good job. Good job. I think that's, this is the whole thing we talk about all the time is this word essential just became so crucial in the COVID era. And to me, I just feel like we've always been this service that it's not even essential. I don't even know what the word is. It's needed and it's required almost, it's just one of those things where we do so much to spark this whole life cycle of like who we serve. And there's no other profession that does that. There's no other place that does that. We serve everyone, every age, every ability, and every race. It just doesn't, every gender, it just doesn't matter. Like we're here for our communities. And I think that's just a beautiful way for us to really start telling the story a little bit better. And I think, I hope that there's professionals out there who might not know that they have the voice that can use that to explain it to their supervisors or their, managers and directors and council members, because that's something I'm going to be able to take and I'm going to put that in every single presentation that I do.
Fantastic. Well, that's what we built it for. And I think, unfortunately, for some reason, Parks and Rec just traditionally hasn't been great at telling their story, at sharing their value, at defending themselves. And so that's what we're trying to do here with the Daily Parks and Rec Show and the whole media company is to give you a platform to speak that has amplification so that, hopefully this never happens again where we find ourselves on the chopping block because we're considered non-essential.
It's an interesting topic though, because I've worked for large agencies where there have been very little discussions when it comes to budget cuts. It just happens. You're cutting this much out of your budget. It's not a can you, it's not a will you, it's this is what's happening. But I have found that the higher I got up the ladder and the more confident I became in telling the story and being able to actually have conversations with my council members and really making sure they understand we're not just a department. This is literally like a hospital on wheels is what I like to call it. It's like we are like the mobile rec unit that goes out and gives you a natural prescription for health, and it's this beautiful thing that we do. But if you're not constantly using your data, if you're not constantly looking at your numbers and really failing forward, because this is another thing, right? Like sometimes things get cut just because you didn't have enough people register or it just didn't seem as popular, where it just might have needed some tweaks. So evaluation of data is so crucial, and explaining why you're evaluating that data to your, city managers, directors, and council members, that completely flips the script, because I'm going through budget cuts right now. But I'll tell you what, we came in prepared at mid-year budget of this is what we can cut. You're not going to tell us, we're going to tell you. And they respected that so much that when it came to end of year cuts, they were like, we're good. You guys are good. Your department has given us what we've asked for in your own way, right? We were able to at least have a seat at the table. And I think that's because we told the story. That's because we were able to say, look, if we cut this essential service stops. And when we do that, that causes more crime. It causes more isolation of seniors, whatever it might be. And it was really successful in doing that. So I strongly recommend those of you who are listening and you don't have that relationship yet, use things like this to be able to really get out there and be really forward and confident. Be confident in what we do. We kill it every single day. And we work hard and tirelessly to be awesome and to create these memories. Don't just keep it for that one special event day. that memory is every single day for our department. And we just want to keep pushing that storyline.
I'd like you to talk a little bit about how, because you've served different communities with different needs, and I don't think a lot of people realize how flexible a Parks and Rec department is to address the needs of their community, which might be totally different from the neighboring Parks and Rec.
Right.
Let's talk about how versatile this industry is.
I mean, San Bernardino was just for me such a huge learning spectrum from the time I got there. And like I said, you're just used to doing things a certain way. And, in Parks and Rec, that happens a lot, right? I'm sure in every job field that happens. You get comfortable in, this is how things work. This is how we make things successful. In San Bernardino, it was really go back to like this old school core element of what is community service. How do we serve our community so we improve their quality of life? Whether that's a program, whether that's a conversation, whether that's a special event, whatever it is. But we have to be consistently flexible. And what you're talking about is how you serve different types of communities, right? Because I could be doing a huge, in Irvine, Global Village Festival, 40,000 people, 3-day event, hundreds of thousands of dollars, massive sponsors. I would love to bring something like that to an underserved city, but there's no budget to do that. And so how do we do that? Well, that's the flip. Our conversations, instead of having conversations with sponsors, we're having conversations with community-based organizations. We're going out into the community and saying, hey, you provided a different type of service. Let's bring you into this event because people trust you. And you start that flexibility in conversation. And then that flexibility becomes, yes, we can. We can bring something from another agency, the idea, and then we can bring it in and bring it a spice of our own. And that's exactly how we are. In recreation, we're constantly, it's a beg, borrow, and steal industry. That's what my husband likes to say.
Yeah.
He's like, y'all don't create anything. You just take from somebody else and you make it your own. And I was like, it's just so true. It's so true. But there's been magical things that have come out of something. I have taken an idea from another agency and brought it into one that never in their right mind ever thought that they'd see a festival. Yeah. They never thought that they would have, massive carnival items in their park. They never thought that. And they never thought they'd see snow. They never thought they'd see an ice rink. And those are all things that we were able to bring because we were flexible in thinking of, this is not going to be the way they've done it. How do we do it so it works for us? And that's really, it's a skill to have. So those of you who are trying to be directors and managers, flexibility and adaptability is so huge in your skill sets. Make sure you hone in on those and just, be okay with failure. Be okay with failure.
Yes, definitely. Fail forward. I love that. And shout out to Molly Keys. She's all the way on the East Coast. She's in charge of the Young Professionals Network.
I just met her this morning. I passed the mic over to her. Yes, because I was the chair of the awards. So this morning we had our awards scholarship breakfast.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this Molly Keys lady? And I'm like, I'm going to pass the mic to Molly Keys. And first time I met her. So
she's been a regular on the show.
What a wonderful.
And I'm sure she stole this from somebody, but she said there are no best kept secrets in Parks and Rec.
That's right.
We don't have secrets. We share. And to your point earlier, I love how y'all kind of just take what's working in another community, adopt it, and make it your own.
Right. And, and credit to the, always give credit to the person you steal it from. Too.
Right.
I got no shame in my game. I call people. I'm like, all right, send me your budget. I actually just did this because for our centennial for Placentia, we have a very, very small budget. Obviously, we're going through like this crazy budget crisis. And so I called my friend Tim Pagano over in Santa Ana and I was like, hey, you guys just did your 5K. Send me everything. And he was awesome. He just sent me the whole booklet, every single one of their vendors and everything. And then you don't have to think about that part. It's like, okay, what can we do within this scope? We know that they had a really successful event. How do we make it our own? But like, how great is that, right? I just took all the guesswork out of it.
Yeah. Well, Lydie, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And thank you for all your leadership out in California. Thank you for getting us to come to the
my gosh, I am so excited. California just is not ready for this. I'm so excited. It's going to be great. Well, thank you for having me on the show. It's been awesome. Always awesome and happy to come back anytime.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Great to have you on the show. Thanks.
At DPRS Media Co., we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of Parks and Rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, Youth Sports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now, we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS Media Co. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together.